Hi, everybody. Let's try this again. Welcome back to Quarantine But Cute. I am Lala. Today I have an amazing guest on. She is my friend, Crystle Roberson. She's a director, producer, writer. We went to college together in Valdosta, which is a very small town in South Georgia. We were in the same classes. We became friends, and we've stayed friends and have joined each other on our own adventures at odd times in the last 10 years. And we're going to talk about that today, as well as a handful of other things. She's just joining now. And just so you know her credits, she's recently directed American Soul. She has directed for Greenleaf, the TV show on OWN Network, Black Girl's Guide to Fertility. She is doing everything. She's an amazing woman, and I'm so happy to have her come on today for a little chat. So I'm just waiting for her to join. I'm going to try to do that right now. I just sent her a request. Let me know where you guys are watching from. Hello, Lester. Hello. Hello, Rochelle. Hey,
Hey,
finally. You look good.
how you doing?
I'm
You
good.
do. Good to see you.
I know. I was just saying when I was trying to do the live a few minutes ago that the last time I think I actually saw you was when I busted up your live like a month ago.
Oh yeah. I remember that. That was when quarantine was still new, and I think I had got drunk one evening and was just like, "I'm just gonna go live." It was great. It was a
It
lot of
was
fun.
awesome because I've never seen you. I've seen you speak out, but not like that. And I was just like, oh shit, this is where we're at in quarantine.
Yeah, man.
Everyone's coming out.
Everybody, listen. It was crazy because I knew that I knew there was a lot of people who were just at home drinking all day, and I knew I was not the only one. I was like, I can't be the only one drunk at like 7 p.m. right now.
I love you so much. So I just want to introduce you really quick. For those of you joining, Crystle Roberson is an amazing director, producer, writer. We've known each other since college. We had classes together. And I just thought it would be fun to interview you. We postponed the interview, obviously, due to everything. We all needed to focus for a minute and take a breath and really figure out how we were going to come together with this movement and this change and make it so it works and sticks this time. And so
Mhm.
I think you and I had decided, it wasn't time last week, but now it's time. And if you want to, I want to start out by just asking you some just fun questions like,
Okay.
what's your favorite color?
My favorite color is actually turquoise.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, I love turquoise. As far as just a color, like not necessarily to wear. I never really wear turquoise, but I love it. Like I would paint a room in my house turquoise and just, love that.
I would paint my whole house chartreuse. It's like that limey green, bright yellowy. That's my favorite color.
Really?
Yes, I like bright. Like this year for me has been the year of yellow. But anyway, okay. What is your favorite food?
That's a good question. I really like, I'm a sucker for like seafood. So like I really like crab legs and stuff like that. Like you could take me to juicy crab all day.
Let me tell you, my cholesterol is real high because I have a seafood problem. I'm a shrimp addict.
Mm.
Um, okay, so what is something that people don't know about you?
Something people don't know about me is that secretly I really want to be a ballerina. I really want to do ballet. Yeah, really bad. I really envy how flexible ballerinas are and how graceful they are. And that shit really like tones your legs too. It really tones you up. The little ballet classes that I've taken. Um,
How many have you taken? I don't know about this.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like it's one of those things. I never have time for ballet lessons, but if I
Right.
did, I would do it.
I love that. Yes. I do
Mhm.
Pilates and swimming. That's my thing. Talk about leg toning. Those two things, just saying. Okay.
Pilates is hard, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a lot of core and it's very good for you.
Mhm.
How did you get your start in film and what initially sparked your passion? Film and TV.
Um, well, okay, I'll start with what initially sparked my passion. Um, I was a photographer in high school. I worked at this mom and pop camera shop called Coke's Camera in downtown Macon, which is where I grew up for the most part. And we sold cameras. We developed film. We did all sorts of different things, and I fell in love with photography and cameras and like all that type of stuff at Coke's.
And that's before I met you in Valdosta. So
Yep, that was before you met me. And then when I got to college, where we met, I was like, okay, my mom was like, you can't be a photographer. You won't make any money. You have to do something else. I was
yeah.
like, oh. And so, but when I realized that movies were motion pictures, then I was like, oh, that's motion photography, and I still get to do photography, and I can be a filmmaker. And then once, I got into that, it was like, my heart just like exploded, like with passion. And I realized that this is something that I really loved. And, the rest is history. I would say the way I got my start was interning. Back in the day, like they would let you work for free. I think nowadays it's a little harder because of insurance stuff. But back in the day, you could just say, hey, I want to work for free, put me in the game. And so I started interning on different indie film sets in Atlanta where I wasn't getting paid or anything. And then at some point, somebody gave me a job.
I love it. We've always been hustlers, and I love you so much because I was like, I don't know, everyone's always been like, you're so weird. Like they've called me weird since I was in kindergarten, and it used to be a bad thing, and now it's cool. And I remember you like immediately accepting my loudness, my weirdness, my whateverness in all of our classes in Valdosta. And we were talking about the other day in our pre-interview about how we did have deep conversation. We did connect, and like every time I always saw you, you were kind, you were sweet, funny, and attentive and focused and never judgmental. And I just wanted to say that to you because I very much respect your demeanor. And I'm assuming that's having to do with how you were raised, obviously. I mean, you're super respectful. There's no like drama with you. And I love that.
Yeah, I don't really like drama. And I appreciate hearing people's like different opinions. I think like when I met you in college, you were one of the most outspoken people who didn't mind like saying something controversial or being like, hey, here's a question. Let's all think about this. No one's ever thought about it this way before. So I respected your perspective, and I was like, yeah, this is college. This is what college is. It's not for us to just go and stay in our same mindset. It's for us to go listen to other people from other places and, and grow and learn. So you were always like, I could always depend on you to speak your mind.
Yeah. Thank you. I always question authority. I've been that way my whole life, and teachers and everybody, because guess what? Freedom of speech.
Yeah.
So what are some of the projects you've worked on recently and in the past, and what are you looking forward to creating? Because you're a writer as well, right?
I am. Yeah, I'm a writer. The stuff I've just recently worked on, man, I was on a roll in 2019.
I saw you were in Cannes. You talk.
I was all over the place.
Tell everybody.
I know. I was all over the place. And I thought this year was gonna be like that times 10. And then, of course, curveball for everybody. But I will say, this year I've been focusing on writing. Me and my writing partner which, this hasn't been released yet. So I'm not going to say any specifics, but we did sell a project to a big network, and we've been working on that. We've been working on the writing of that. We went into that with a spec pilot. Then we got notes back, and we've started over from a new outline. And so we've been working on outlining, and then hopefully we'll go to script soon. But it's been if it were not for writing, I probably would have lost my mind during this whole thing.
Yeah. So, well, to that, congratulations. I got some cold chills for you. I'm so proud of you. Just like, I think what's really exciting is when you have a dream in college and you go into the world, and then years later you still see that person fighting for it, living for it, thriving for it, being it, doing it, helping others, bringing them along. That's what it's about, you know. And I appreciate you. I even auditioned for you, and not for you, but for you, but for the casting directors. I guess I wasn't the right fit, and that's fine. But even just the opportunity that I knew that I could possibly work with you after all these years was so exciting to me.
That was gonna be
And
really
I
exciting.
definitely know I've become a better actor since then, in my own opinion. But
Yeah, I saw you in The Irishman.
I'm going to be living on that Irishman tip for a while because I don't know when I'm going to be working again. I'm just saying. But yeah,
Yeah.
you've got a lot of projects going on, and we have a mutual friend, Jason. Is it Likey or Leek? I always say his name wrong. On American Soul.
Oh, okay. Is he on American Soul, like the
He,
actor Jason?
yeah. He's like light skin, beautiful hazel eyes. Like he was a model in Atlanta. And
Okay.
I hired him as a model, like
Yeah.
years ago. And next thing I know, he's like a regular on American Soul. And then you're directing a few episodes, and I was like, I love this little
Yeah. That's
circle. But I wanted to ask you too, as a female director and a Black female director specifically, what challenges have you faced, and what have you overcome, and what can you tell the girls out there, the young little girls, the young little Black girls, about what you do, and how to stay strong as this world is changing?
yeah. So I'll say, all the challenges, you're gonna face challenges trying to become a filmmaker, period. Filmmaking is not easy. It takes a lot of sacrifice. It takes a lot of hours. It takes everything that you have. And it's just not an easy gig. I will say the biggest thing that female directors, specifically Black female directors, have as a challenge really is mentally, um, in a society that said that only 1% of directors look like you out of 100. Only one of them look like you. Um, and it's getting over that part yourself. It's mentally saying, "Oh, I'm going to do it anyway." And so what? Um,
So
I
the
think
statistic is a challenge, and it's also a barrier.
yeah, the statistic is, it's like it makes you be like, oh, well, that's not going to happen for me. It could make a lot of people doubt themselves and doubt
Right.
if they'll ever be able to pull it off,
Yeah.
because it's already hard to do. And on top of being hard to do, you're, as a Black woman, it's the hardest for you to do. So then, I wouldn't say that it's like the actual, to me, the fact that there's only 1% of us out there is not the challenge. The fact that the challenge is mentally what that does to someone, and the obstacle that they then put in front of themselves because now they have this bit of information. um and I think that I really just think that that's the biggest challenge, is your own mind. It
Yeah.
is, what it is that you believe about yourself. And for Black women, that comes along with the statistics and society telling you about what they think about what you're able to do, which makes it harder for a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean,
That makes sense. Like,
yeah, I mean, I've never been discriminated for the color of my skin, but I have definitely been discriminated as a woman. And
mm-hmm,
that's the only thing that I can speak to. And it's happened recently. I'm back in the South, and you know how it is. And
mm-hmm.
as much as Atlanta is diverse, um, there's still, it's still out there. The hate is still out there, as we all know. And the way, you know, white men speak to any woman is just still so there, and I'm in North Georgia, and I still get treated horribly by other men in
Mm-hmm.
general. So I can't even imagine, I
Yeah,
mean, the things that you've accomplished, let's just talk as a woman, have been incredible. Um,
as a woman, you really, like, you can't be too nice.
yeah,
um if you're a guy director, you can be as nice as you want. You can talk as softly as you want.
Yeah.
Um, you can stutter. You can have a few seconds to make up your mind. As a woman, you have to like know what you're doing instantly.
Yep.
You say it with a straight head and a straight face. You have to stand firm, in your boots. You don't have time to like, let me think about it. Da, 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 da. You can't do that. You like, at least for me, I think as far as like being semi new to professional directing,
Right.
I'm not like a place where that you can afford to tilt your head and kind of try to figure out what's going on.
Right.
Because what happens is instantly men or whoever just rush in and assume that you don't know what to
What?
say. So then they try to help you out and like, you know what I mean? And it's like, no, 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 I didn't ask for your answer. I just need a second to think, which we all do as creatives. But I think that being a woman comes with that, with you having to sort of put this armor on and say, no, I know what I'm doing. And you have to prove yourself to a certain extent, or, and not allow people to talk over you or walk over you, you
Yeah,
know?
I know because we've both grown up in the Atlanta film industry. Specifically, I started in film in 2010. I worked on Zombieland. I worked my way up. And a very quick side story, I had my first sort of Me Too movement in 2012 on a film set. And I was dating one of the writers who I won't name. And he was one of the writer's assistants. And the movie was a major motion picture. And I was the assistant to a major actor.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a phone call and from someone you and I both know, which I can tell you later. And she called me and she said, "You need to get down to set right now. So and so is speaking about your private life to the director and the three main actors, but not your boss." So I
Well,
drove down and I went to set and I pulled him outside and I said, "Am I understanding that you just talked about our private sexual details out loud on a set where the boss is the main character and he's my boss?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "What do you think you're doing? This is my life. This is my career. It's hard enough as it is to be a woman on a set with men who think that you don't belong there, let
mm-hmm.
alone race. We're just
Yeah,
talking about women right now
yeah,
and fighting for your place to not only speak, but to be heard and to tell stories, whatever it is, to be a grip, to be an electric, to be a craft service person, which I was in the union. I'm IOC 479 still, and I'm
oh,
SAG now.
I remember that. Sorry. I
Yes.
remember. I forgot about that. That's crazy. Sorry. But
No,
yeah, yeah, no, I feel you though. Yeah, he deserved to.
but I put him in his place and
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying what's interesting about that is years later, a woman who was his friend was sort of still defending him. And it was really hard for me. She was a black woman as well. And she was defending his behavior. And I was like, wow, from a female to female, you don't have my back. You don't have
Mm-hmm.
my back that this man that's your best friend was involved with me and talking about those details to other men who are major stars in a motion picture.
Yeah,
It
right.
was horrific. And so I commend you, I commend me, I commend all the women in film who have
Mm-hmm.
had to deal with these disgusting men that think that they, are the autonomy, they're everything, you
Yeah,
know? And
yeah.
it's changing, thank God, but it is slow, but it is changing, just like everything right now with this movement and the protesting. It will change, and it is changing, I
Mm-hmm.
think, differently than before.
Mm-hmm.
And we all just have to hold on and be patient.
Yeah, for sure. And women deal with all sorts of different things that men don't necessarily have to deal with in filmmaking. Like what your example, my example, and then I'm just thinking about the moms too. Like I have a friend, Angela Gomes, who's a amazing female director out of Atlanta. When she got pregnant and she's like trying to nurse and stuff like that and shoot, stuff. I mean, you know what I mean? When you're like still breastfeeding and, you know, working and directing, and it's
Look, I
that's just
love men. I
and don't
love
have to
them,
worry
but
about
they don't know. They don't understand.
it. Yeah.
They don't understand a period, and they don't understand being pregnant, and they don't understand hormones, and the shit about making women feel bad because they're PMSing. That is over.
Yeah, for
Get out of
real.
my face.
I heard that. Yes.
But okay, so this is probably a pretty obvious question, but I wanted to ask it anyway. Um,
Hmm.
how diverse are the casts that you work with, and how important is that to you when directing a project? Because the director is the ultimate decider, but the casting director is the one who gets them through the first round. And how do we regulate and maintain that we're casting people equally?
That's a good question. I will say that diversity, I've seen more and more that diversity gets put at a higher priority now than it used to.
Yes.
Even just with, you know, um, hair color and weight, you know, or body size or
Yes.
type,
Thank you.
you know, or even skin complexion. It's like, even on a black show, it's like, wait, you know, let's make sure that we're not always saying that the lighter skinned person is this type of character and the darker skinned person is this type of character, or, you know, vice versa or whatever. And I've seen a lot of that, but like you know, as a TV director, you come into this sort of already cooking kitchen, and they've already got their own pots and pans, and you know, you got to just kind of bring in the ingredients that they give you to make a meal. You're not making the meal, and it's not always your choice of what the meal is going to be. So casting is the same way, in terms of like, I get a say so in casting as a director, as a TV director, but there is the showrunner who's the ultimate say.
Right.
And well, I'll say, you know, on a certain level, but there's also the studio and network that they, in their mind, they have the entire series in their mind, like, well, wait, let's not, this character is this way, but there's another character we want to introduce a couple episodes from now that's also going to be this way, so we can't introduce this person like this yet.
It's
That, you know,
complicated.
their own reasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as I would want a specific actor, you know, I'm up against the people who have to, you know, shoot this show for the rest of the year, or the, you know, the next 4 years or
There's
whatever.
a lot of politics. It's not just about, what you look like. It's literally about, well, it's a lot about how you look, but it's how do you sell it? How does it make sense? How is it fair? There's so many
Yeah.
ways to make a show, and like a good example too, I think Ryan Murphy. I mean, he has been one of the most inclusive directors out there, especially as a white man. I mean,
Yep.
praise to Ryan Murphy. I am in awe of the projects that he creates for
Yeah.
everyone,
Yeah. For
for,
everybody.
for everyone. And those are the kind of directors I want to work with. And I hope I get to work with you one day as not just a friend, but I want you to tell me what to
Yeah.
do.
I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will. It'll
um,
be fun.
it will be so fun. What's one of your favorite memories of being a director thus far in your career?
Oh my goodness. You know what, Lauren? Honestly, it's a feeling more so than any specific moment. It's the fact that I have been trying, this is something that I have been trying to do my entire adult life, that I have been working towards my entire adult life. And that I knew, like, I am a director. I knew that. I know that. But to go so long without being able to be a director, to go so long without being able to be what you are, especially when you are an artist, you're creative, and that's what you thrive off of. And directing and filmmaking is my medium of expression as an artist. But there's all these obstacles to hit, to conquer before you're even able to start expressing yourself, you know, on a regular basis from your art form. And so I think the most important thing, in my favorite thing about directing anything is the feeling of aliveness. And it's something that I never really felt before. It's a feeling of absolute aliveness. Like I feel like I'm alive. I'm doing exactly what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. I'm using every bit of creativity and inner, stuff, magic that I have to do what I want to do. And it's the sense of being alive. I had been alive before, but there's nothing compared to how alive I felt when I started directing. You know what I mean?
Oh, you froze. Where are you? Come.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just to
My
say,
phone was giving me that 10% warning.
oh no, can you
But
plug it?
it's yeah, I'll plug in. I
Okay.
have my charger right here.
Well, while you're talking and doing that, or while you're doing that, I was just going to say that is exactly the way I felt about acting when I finally committed to it again after all these years being afraid. I started in theater when I was younger, and then when I went to Valdosta, where we met in college, there was two tracks. It was going to be theater for me or radio, and I chose radio because I was so scared of myself that I wasn't going to be good enough in theater. So I never went down
Mm-hmm.
the road. So that's when I got into film and TV and started working behind the scenes, sort of suppressing my own self. And now that I look back at it, and the whiteness and the privilege and all the things, I had it all there in the palm of my hand, but I was so scared of myself that I didn't go for it. So now it's like, there's no excuse. Look at all the people that can't do what they want. There's no
Yeah,
excuse. And I felt that way for the last 3 years. And I was working for Al Pacino as his assistant, and I'm fine to name drop that. He's like a father to me.
yeah,
Um, and he said, "You're an actor." He's like, "This is what you're supposed to be doing. And like, you need to go do it. And I'm going to help you." And
yeah,
so he did. And then I found my agent on my own, and I was able to get background work on SNL to become a SAG member. And I just
yeah,
got really lucky but I worked hard too. And that
yeah.
moment, like you're saying, when you're on set. So that moment for me was on The Irishman, and I had to cry in the Kennedy scene. And I tell you what, I've never had a better feeling in my life when I hit the mark and that real emotion came from my own memory and I was able to use that. I've never felt more alive in my entire life, and I was
Mm-hmm.
addicted. It was like a drug.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
only want to do that for the rest of my life.
yeah. Yes, yes, yes.
So I feel you.
I know the feeling. I know the feeling. And I do remember when you chose radio. It's funny. I do remember that. I remember you starting to talk about doing radio in college, and you just never know what's at the core of people's decisions. You just think like, "Oh, okay, yeah, she's
Right.
doing radio." But that's interesting to know that like that you
I
had
never
that.
thought about it.
Yeah. I had to, even up until the moment that I started directing and I was on my way to set, like during production shooting, there were a lot of mornings where I had to do affirmations for myself just to pump myself up because I was nervous. I was still nervous. I was still like, this is the biggest chance of my life to do what it
Yeah.
is that I absolutely love to do, and I can't fuck it up. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
No pressure.
Yeah, I can't fuck it up. And especially with directors, if you mess up anything, you won't work again. So I had to say to myself, no, I am a director. Today is going to be amazing. I'm going to, I mean, you just had to say, I had to say everything that I wanted to have happen and only focus on what my desired result was and keep just repeating that to myself. And then, and then do it.
It's amazing you say that because a lot of us feel like we're not enough. And when you say it out loud, like I remember when I sort of had to become a chef overnight to a producer, I was doing craft service, and I felt fake though. I felt like that wasn't me. And it was in a lot of ways because I love feeding people. I loved being a chef
Mm-hmm.
in a very cushy situation. I wasn't working
Yeah.
in a kitchen. I was getting paid a lot of money on someone's very expensive trailer in a
Yeah.
place cook whatever I wanted. And it was great for a while. But after a few years of personal chefing, I felt like a fake. And I felt like Like,
Mm,
that wasn't it. And then when I met Alan, he's like, no, 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 this is in you and you better do it now. And he used to joke, like, you should have started 10 years ago. He's like, but
mm,
you're starting now and I need you to go and try. Because if you hate it, that's fine. But if you don't go and try, you're going to regret it.
yeah,
But for me to say the words, I'm an actor, just like
yeah,
it was tough for you to say I am a director,
yeah,
even though
yeah,
maybe you didn't have that body of work yet. That's a very powerful, difficult thing to realize and then to
yeah.
continue to pursue without it being backed up yet.
Yeah, you have to. You have to go ahead and say it as if it already is. You can't wait for it to happen and then say it.
Yeah.
I always say, like, it's like taking the Tylenol, wait till the headache goes away to take the Tylenol. It's like you just gotta, I don't know if that's the same thing, but it's
I know
like
what you're saying. I know what you're saying. But so that said, since we're giving pieces of advice, what's the best what's the best piece
the
of
best piece.
advice
Oh my gosh.
you've ever been given? What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Okay. Um, okay, yeah. That's a good one. The best piece of advice, as far as directing goes,
Yeah.
is that never put your foot in the same river twice.
Okay.
Never put your foot in the same river twice.
We talking about ex-boyfriends now? Ex-girlfriends? What are we talking about?
No, we're talking about, well, that too. But I think you could apply it there. But
Yeah.
as far as the story goes, directing a story, never put your foot in the same river twice means a story is a river in terms of like a river that just flows. It continues flowing. It's not a stagnant body of water. It's
Right.
flowing. So you can put your foot in the river and then you take your foot out and the river has flowed. And then when you put your foot back in, it's not the same water that your foot was just in a few minutes ago. It can't be. It's been flowing, right?
Right.
So in film, especially visually, as the story is flowing, as the characters are finding things out or exploring things, you should never come back to the same stagnant place that you were a few minutes ago before the story had evolved.
Right.
Visually should be evolving, things should be flowing. There should be a reason why we're, closer now than we were before.
Right.
If you do come back to the same space, there should be something, different about it anyway. Like, so say we start on a wide shot, and we end the scene on a wide shot. That wide shot at the end better damn well be completely different than it was at the beginning.
Right.
Because back to a wide shot at the end and it's completely the same. What did we do? What did you just spend your audience's time on? So I think that was probably the best piece of advice because it also helped me a lot with shot listing. It helped me with breaking down my script. I got to shout out to Jason Ensler on that one. Like Jason Ensler, old boss of mine. I worked with him on Red Band Society. J.E. told me that for sure. That was a good one.
I love that. And also, I'm just remembering you got me an interview to work for Oprah.
I did. I remember that. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
And I didn't get it, but I met with her VP of O Network and she was lovely. What was her name again?
Carla Gardini. Carla she's one of my favorite people in the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you were assistant producing, right? Or producer assistant. What
No,
were you doing
I was
before you were directing?
Yeah, no, I was assisting the director. George C. Wolfe was the director.
Yeah.
They were doing it for HBO.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait.
That was the Henrietta Lacks movie, right?
Yes, Henrietta Lacks. And then check that out. 2 weeks later, I got the interview to work for Al Pacino. And I ended up getting the job. But when you called me about Oprah,
yeah.
I was
because what they said, they were like, we need someone who's really good, and it was also a plus that you were a chef, and it was a plus that you had all that other. So even though sometimes we think that we might be getting off the path of what we're supposed to be doing, it helps sometimes with that, because they were like they were looking for someone like that with those many facets.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll get to work for her again one day. But
Yeah,
yeah, that was an
me
incredible
too.
interview. And they ended up not hiring anybody, right? I thought,
Yeah, exactly. I think that her person from LA came out or something like that.
I mean, just the fact that I even got an interview to possibly be Oprah's assistant is because of you, and because of, shout out to Sean Marshall, Teamster, amazing driver in Atlanta. He got me the job with Al as well. So
Yeah.
it was crazy. But I just want to do a quick shout out. We are raising money. I know no one has donated yet, because I think this whole badge at the bottom is a new thing for people. I've been raising money for the ACLU. I've been raising money for Social Impact Fund and different organizations and funds for social justice. And I found this awesome smaller organization called Young, Black, and Lit. And I just was like, well, I love the name, so that's obviously going to be on my show. They don't even know I'm doing this, but they are an organization that makes sure that books with Black characters are given to youths for free.
Oh, good. Good.
So I wanted to donate to this organization today. I had set up like a little badge on my stories, because I also have a hashtag called Bake for Justice, and then people can swipe up and donate, and then I'll give them the recipe once they show me that they've donated, which I thought, like, I'm a chef. It's a good skill. Like, this is a cool way to raise money, and then give something to people for doing it. So if you guys have $1, $2, $5, $10, $1,000, I would love to donate to this fundraiser. You just click the button at the bottom. It'll direct you out and then direct you back in. So I just wanted to acknowledge that charity. And then there was a couple questions for you from Ray the Gentleman. He says, ladies, what movie made in the last 10 years would you remake and direct? In the last 10 years.
In the last 10 years, would I remake and direct? That's a good question.
It's a good question.
Um,
Direct, so I would just say I'd be in something, but I got to think about it.
yeah. I would say, yeah.
There's so many good movies.
There are.
And I don't think he's saying remake and direct because it was good or bad, just whatever.
Yeah, just cause. I got you. Cause it would be fun.
Yeah, like what's the movie, like if you had been that person from the beginning, developing it and remake and making it for the first time? I think that's like a better way to approach it, maybe.
Yeah, because like I had the particular movie that I'm thinking about it was amazing. There was nothing wrong with this movie. I would have just had fun doing it, and I would have wanted to do it. And that would be Black Panther.
Ah, yes! Dude, I want to see you on the Black Panther set. You would be such a boss directing.
Yeah, it would be kind of fun, and it would be interesting because I like the characters a lot on that movie. I wanted to go deeper into the characters, like private worlds and certain moments. But yeah, hell yeah, I would have wanted to direct remake Black Panther. That's what
Let's put that out in the universe for the next one.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. But I did want to talk about everything that's going on. And given the current state of affairs with protesting on equal rights and social justice, excuse me, I have mouth guards in. It's hard to talk sometimes. And the advancements we've already made in the last week, what are you seeing, and how is this affecting Black, Indigenous people of color?
What I'm seeing right now is people caring in a way that I've never quite seen them care before. I'm like, oh wow, you guys really care.
When you say you guys, who do you mean?
Like corporations. I've never seen corporations like say, okay, Black Lives Matter. We understand that this isn't right. We don't stand next to this, really, like that is just like, wow, I've never, because it's something that um that's been going on for a really long time, something that's been hurting my heart for a really long time and plaguing my mind and baffling me. And then now to see all of the support coming from all over the world is like wow to me, and I think it's wow for a lot of people. It's really cool. I'm really excited about like what's happening. I know it sometimes can get really scary and it's fucked up because people had to die for this change to be, this catalyst, but is necessary, obviously. And
Yeah.
um, but yeah, that's been a really interesting to see that over the past like week or two.
Yeah.
For,
I mean, I can't even imagine, like, I'm half Hispanic, but let's just call me white. And because I am.
hmm
And for me, I've been an emotional basket case,
hmm
up
hmm
and down,
Yeah, yeah,
confused, wondering if I was a secret racist, wondering if just because I had black friends, I was a racist and it was a front. Like I have been like going through all the motions. Do you know what I mean?
hmm
The
hmm
motions, the emotions, the empathy, the disgust,
hmm
the I watched a documentary last night, LA 92, about the riots. I was 8 years old when those riots happened, and I don't remember them. And I also wasn't taught about them. I learned about the LA riots because of the band Sublime.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
that didn't teach me shit. I just knew the lyrics. So when I
Yeah.
watched LA 92 last night on Netflix, which everyone should watch, I was
hmm
like, holy shit.
hmm
Not that I wasn't aware, but you put blinders up because it's so much information, and when it's not directly affecting you, people look the other way.
Yeah.
No matter what color you are. And I'm not just
Yeah.
talking about race, I'm talking about any issue, whether it's politics, abortion, interracial relationships. If it's not affecting you, unless you're just a fucking KKK member and you want to go after people physically, if an issue is not affecting you, we just turn our head, even if we have black friends,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
It's true.
And
With it, with any issue, if it's not directly affecting you, it's harder to really drum up the, compassion or the like, say for instance, for me, the example for me is teachers. Teachers don't get paid nearly enough. They should, as much as they should get paid. Quarantine hit and parents had to start homeschooling their kids and realizing like, holy shit, this is hard. And
yes,
oh my goodness, teachers go through this every day with multiple, like with over 20 or 30 children, not just one or two.
a
Um,
class, 20 a class. My mom was a teacher for
yeah.
32 years at Dunwoody High School.
And it's like, you don't realize it until it affects you. And then you're like, oh, wait, they should get paid more, and then you actually feel it because there's something about the experience of it.
Yeah.
Um, so, I mean, and yeah, I mean, I've been emotional over the past week or so. The interesting thing is that it's been going on for so long. And I used to get very emotional every time it happened. I would be really hurt. I would be pissed. I would be angry. I would be disgusted, like all of those range of emotions. But it would get to the point where it would begin to interfere with life. It's hard to go to work. It's hard to, go to a job interview after that and give your best self. Sometimes it gets tough. Just going through your day-to-day routine as if everything is okay
Yeah.
when you feel this pain in your heart and you feel this hatred from this group of people just because of the color of your skin, something that is what it is. And it hurts on a deep level, and you have to figure out as a Black person living in America how to deal with this really uh like painful burden that stems from someone else's issue, and still go about your life and still like go about your work and not allow yourself to completely crumble.
Yeah.
So after over and over and over and over and over, sadly, you start to figure out how to take that pain and push it down somewhere so that you can just live and be okay, because it gets to be pretty painful and distracting. So when the first it was Ahmaud Arbery. I could not watch the video of him getting killed. It was circulating. I was like, I'm not watching that. But I was keeping up with the case.
Have you
And then
watched it since?
I know I haven't watched, still haven't watched the video.
It's horrific.
Yeah. And I mean, that's why I'm like, I already know I'm fine. I don't have to see it for myself. And, even seeing George Floyd with the cop on his neck like that, I don't want to see that. That stuff is like a nightmare to me.
Yeah.
But, the fact that it was on tape is what ultimately helped bring him, or is helping to bring him justice. And the same with Ahmaud, so I'm not saying that those things shouldn't be videotaped, but I just don't choose to watch it. But then when everyone really started to care, and I was like, oh wow, okay, other people care.
Other
It's not,
people meaning non-Black people.
meaning non-Black people, at a much larger like rate than usual. There are the usual white allies and other people who come in and, say, hey man, we understand. But like on a mass scale like this, with corporations and government officials and even studio networks, saying like, hey, we realize that, I mean, they cancel cops, like, you know what I mean?
I'm so
Yeah.
excited about that.
Yeah,
I
they
think
just
that's fucking great, because that show has been so violent for so long towards everyone, but in general, like, why are we getting off watching people being beaten on a television show? What
yeah.
the fuck is wrong with us?
Yeah. And you start to realize that. And so once I started to realize, like, oh my goodness, other people care, this could actually lead to some sort of justice.
Yeah.
There was part of me that gave me permission to cry. That gave me permission to feel and mourn again, because I had stopped doing that because it was so painful and so hard to go about life and do that at the same time.
Yeah.
So what it's doing, it sort of opened like a floodgate for me of like, okay, I can actually feel for Breonna Taylor. I can feel for her because like before I would have been afraid to feel for her, because I feel like, well, it's going to be another person killed, another Black person killed, there's going to be no justice, but now I have hope, because I'm like, okay, we have people's attention.
Yeah.
I'm like, the hope equals like, okay, let it out, it's okay, because it's not going to be the same thing over and over and over again anymore.
It's like a living nightmare.
Yeah.
And like, if I've contributed in any way, I have to learn from that, and that's all I can do is educate myself, because, we can all use this excuse. Oh, well, we weren't taught in school, and we weren't this and we weren't that. I think, as a very young child, my example being my grandma used to say the N-word. I was 5 years old, 4 years old. I remember that shit. And I remember feeling wrong about it before
Yeah.
ever in school. So to say that the system failed white people in the sense of educating Black history, I think is kind of a bullshit excuse. I think deep down that like being mean to somebody else, regardless of what they look like, is just wrong. I mean, as a child, you don't see your friends as, not saying you don't see color, because we're people. As you grow older, they say like, oh, well, don't say you don't see color because I'm this and I'm that. But as a child, you just love who you love, right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
we weren't even taught that, in school.
Hmm.
That's what I blame, is just where was the empathy in school? It's never really been there, you know?
Yeah. 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 No, if anything, I think it taught us a little bit more so down the wrong path. For me, growing up in the South, going to, I went to high school at a predominantly white school, you
In
know,
Atlanta?
no, in Macon, Georgia.
Oh, in Macon. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I went to school in Georgia. Yeah. Or north of Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. And but it's it's something that, like, all the, like, predominantly white school, most of the kids at my school, their parents all went to the same church. They all lived in similar neighborhoods, and they had been going to the same school together since elementary.
Yeah.
So that itself gives you this bubble of knowledge of the world that you're stuck in. And then you see something different, and you project whatever dumb, philosophy or stereotypes onto it that your parents have.
Yeah.
That a lot in high school and growing up in middle Georgia, period. So it's something that I've, been faced with for a really long time, or been having to sort of handle for a long time. And you just have to figure out, sorry, I'm trying to
You're
plug.
fine.
And you just got to figure out how to deal with it,
So speaking to that, when it comes to mental health specifically in film, and what's lacking with our cast and crew on set when it comes to mental health and our long hours and having, not having breaks. Like, let's just talk about mental health there, and then let's talk about the lack thereof, or where we are finding mental health resources for people of color, Black people specifically right now.
Yeah, man. Mental health is, that's what it is. Like, mental health is everything. Mental health is every single thing. I think that there's definitely, I don't feel as though people in general, I'll say Americans, are as sensitive to mental health issues as we should be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that we're sensitive enough to the events and experiences that influence mental health in a negative way. I don't think we're as aware of that as we should be. I don't think that people understand how growing up, say for instance, with dolls, for a while, there were only white dolls.
Yep.
That was it. And after a while, they started making, you know, black dolls, and how much of a mental issue, like how much of a mental imprint that leaves on a young non-white girl.
Yeah.
To say, like, okay, all of these are dolls, these are beautiful, you know, it's sort of like it's like the maker of the doll didn't say you're not beautiful, but deep down subconsciously it's embedded there. You know what I mean? So then um it's like it's these little issues, it's these little things that people don't really realize are really big when it comes to mental health, or a lot larger than you think they are.
Yeah.
And I think that no matter like where we work or what we're doing, if you live in America, 9 times out of 10 you need some form of therapy, or it'll be healthy for you to get, because there's no way that, from mass shootings to all sorts of shit that goes on, there's no way that you're just fine. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Out, like, living
Yeah.
in America. Um, and we have to face mental health issues. I honestly feel like, and a lot of people will probably debate me on this, black and white would debate me on this. I think that racism is a certain type of mental health issue. I think that if you are seriously, severely racist, there's something up here that's not right. Like there's some form of way of your thinking that's not correct, and that or that could stand to be healed. You know what I mean? So I honestly would love to, like, for the best therapist in the world to take the most serious racists in the world and really talk to them about, like, why do you really feel this way, and what does this do for you? And and we could all chalk it up to privilege,
Mm-hmm.
but there are some people who enjoy privilege, and then there's some certain people who take it way further to real hate, and it's like, that's not okay, that's something else.
Yeah.
You know
Well,
what I
I like, I
mean?
have this and you don't, and you'll never get it. And let me show you how you're never going to get it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, and you look, and I feel like hopefully, like 100 years from now, our future generations will look back on this like, oh, that was when they finally got rid of this,
Yeah.
because it sounds like prehistoric. It
Yeah.
sounds like a mind that has not fully evolved. It's like thinking back on the lynchings that used to happen in the park, where people would sit and have lunch while a man was being lynched. It's like, if you at the time, that seemed to be the norm, but you look back on that and you say, like, those people must have been, something was wrong with them, like they must have been sick. How could you eat your lunch while a man is being lynched? But that's crazy. And I think it should be dealt with in that way. I think they should be mandatory that if you have any hateful feelings towards another person, if you hate gay people, if you hate handicapped people, if you hate transgenders to the point where you want to kill them, there is something wrong with you,
They
and you
used
need
to
to get
send,
that shit checked out.
yeah, yeah. They
Just
used to send people to, gay men to, I don't know if it was priests or whatever, and forgive me for not saying this clearly, to like get the gay out of them. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And like
yeah.
almost like an
That sounds
exorcism.
crazy. Yeah,
It does sound crazy because it
yeah.
is crazy, and it's, I think what's so wild and horrific about all this is, like you said, the little things like a black doll versus a white doll, and not even being represented.
Hmm.
You know, same thing, let's say with white people. I think people that didn't even realize they're racist are seeing it now more than ever. Conversion therapy. Thank you. How to Brandy said conversion therapy. That's what it's called when they would try to
Right.
get gay men to, not really be gay or whatever. And it's just, there's so many mechanisms that the government and that families and people have used for years to tell
Mhm.
people that this is a certain way and black people are dangerous and people of color are going to take your land and take this and take that. Well, we fucking took the Native Americans' land. No one learned from that shit. Where are they right now? They're not represented at all.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
it's,
you know what they say? If you're, it's like, if you
we have
think that it's gonna
we have
happen
two
to
minutes.
you.
We have two
Oh,
minutes. Go ahead.
okay. If you want to hop off and hop back on, I'm fine.
Yeah,
But
we'll probably do that. But go ahead. Sorry.
it's like, if you know that you're capable of doing something, you're automatically, scared that someone's gonna do it to you.
Yeah.
They say that cheaters in relationships are the most paranoid that their partner is cheating, because they know that they're doing it. So,
Sociopath.
like, yeah. So, like, if you've been torturing this person for 400 years, um, but you can lock them in the basement and not have them be fully free, because you don't know what they're gonna do to you,
Yeah.
because you've been torturing them for so long.
The
And then
government, this country's a fear-based system, period.
yeah. Yeah, so
Period.
now you're afraid
System
that they're going to come out of the basement and take over and take everything that you have and beat you to death. And that's so scary to you. And what's scary to you is not the person, it's your own hate towards that person, that you're afraid of what that has done, what that has truly done.
Yeah.
So it's like, shit, this black man is out here running around. If I were him, I would want to shoot me. So I'm going to shoot him first. I don't know what the logic is. I don't fucking know. All I'm saying is, like,
We have 10 seconds.
It's a mental health issue for sure.
It is. And I'm going
To
to
me.
disconnect in 5, 4, and I'm going to come back and we're going to finish this conversation.
Okay.